Dolores Winter was sorting through some items in her sister Mildred's house. She was gathering only the items which were meaningful to her. Her small house in Grand Haven, Michigan was already full of enough furniture and collectibles. This meant that she would only be able to keep a few small mementos. She removed an old faded black and white photo of the two of them together as children from a shelf. In the photo, they were standing in front of their parents' house in Ludington. Tears began to well up in her eyes as she clutched the photo. After closing her eyes for a moment and taking a deep breath, she opened her eyes again and placed the photo in a box along with the other chosen items. Peter Corbin arrived home from his job as a real estate agent at WHN Realty in Farmington, Michigan. It was about 6:30. His wife Sarah had arrived home earlier in the evening and had prepared a nice Friday evening meal for the two of them. As he entered the apartment, he smelled the meal that Sarah had prepared. He said, "Hi, Sarah, it smells great in here. I had thought about going out tonight, but this will be much more relaxing." Sarah came out of the kitchen to greet him. The two embraced and kissed. She smiled and said, "Hi, honey. I just wanted something special for tonight, so I made chicken parmesan, a salad, and of course you can help open the wine too." Peter was surprised, and he responded, "Wow, did I forget a special occasion or something?" She smiled and said, "No, it's not a special night yet." He returned the smile and said, "Sounds special to me. Can I help with anything?" "Yeah, I'll get you the bottle of wine to open," she replied. "Oh yeah, you said that before. Lead me to it," he said as he gestured his hand in the direction of the kitchen. When they reached the kitchen, she pointed to a bottle of wine on the counter. She reached for the corkscrew with her other hand and held it out in front of him. "I'll get to work now," he said as he smiled as he took the corkscrew from her hand. He removed the cork, while she placed the food onto the small dining table. He found 2 wine glasses in a cupboard above the stove and filled each with wine from the bottle. He then took the bottle to the dining table and set it near the middle of the table. He returned to the kitchen to bring the 2 glasses to the table. He positioned them in near the place settings. He noticed an unlit candle in the middle of the table. "Let me light the candle. I'll be back in a moment," he said as he returned to the kitchen to find a lighter. Walking back into the dining area, he tried to ignite the long lighter, but the switch seemed hard to press. While sitting at the table, Sarah noticed his trouble and commented, "I think it unlocks by a slide switch on side of it." He sighed and said, "Thanks, honey. I haven't used this thing too much." He found the switch, and after a few tries, the lighter ignited. "There we go," he said as he held the lighter to the candle wick. The flame on the candle started out small and then grew to a full-size flame. Even with the lights on in the room, the candle cast a warm feeling across the room. Peter walked a few steps to the kitchen and placed the lighter on the counter, then returned to his seat at the dining table. While at the table, he took a moment to take in the aroma of the meal in front of him. "This is really special, Sarah. I really appreciate you making this tonight," he said. "Thank you, Peter. I know you have been getting a bit stressed out at work, and I just wanted to do something special for you tonight." "Hopefully, it will help at least a bit," she replied. After placed the napkin on his lap, he said, "It already is helping. I'm feeling more relaxed and ready to enjoy this evening." He lifted up his glass of wine and held it toward her. She responded by bringing her glass to his for a toast. "Here's to a nice relaxing evening and a great meal," he said as he smiled to her across the table. "To a great evening," she replied. They each drank a sip of wine and placed the glasses back on the table. As he picked up his knife and fork, he said, "I'm looking forward to trying." His cell phone rang inside his pocket. "Damn, not now," he said. "Do you think you should get that?" she asked. "Well, I don't want to, but I suppose I should," he said as he removed the phone from his pocket to answer it. He slid his chair out slightly from the table and shifted to his right. I should have turned the thing off after I got home, he mumbled just before he answered it. Hi, this is Peter Corbin, WHN Reality, he said into the receiver. Hello, you said you are from WHN Reality, the woman calling asked. Yes, I am. Again, my name is Peter, can I help you, he asked. Why yes, I just accepted a new job in the area and I'm looking for a condo. I'm out in front of one right now that really looks like something I would be interested in seeing. Your number is on the sign out in front. Would you be able to show it to me now? She asked. Tell you what, could I arrange to meet you sometime tomorrow, and I'll be glad to show you the condominium. What's the address of the condominium? He asked. Oh, I guess I hate to impose on you, but I have to catch my flight back to Kansas City at 8:30 tomorrow morning, so I really would like to look at it tonight if possible, she replied. Please hold on a moment, I need to check with my wife, he said as he placed the phone on mute, and turned to Sarah. He dropped his head slightly, then looked at Sarah after sighing, and said, Honey, this woman has a plane to catch early tomorrow, and she would like to see a condominium tonight. What do you think? Oh, I suppose it'll be okay. Why don't you see if you can at least finish dinner before you meet her? Sarah replied. Oh, that's a good idea. I will ask. Thanks, honey, he said as he removed the phone from mute. Thanks for holding. I should be able to meet you after I finish dinner. So how about meeting at around 8:30 tonight? He asked. Sure, I can get some quick dinner myself too. I'm at the condo at 4765 Pine Tree Lane. Do you know where that it is? She asked. Yes, the Pine Tree condos. I'll meet you there at 8:30. You have my number if anything changes. What was your name again? He asked. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Christine Hall. Thanks so much for your help. I'll see you in a bit, she replied. Okay, Christine, I'll see you soon. Goodbye, he said. Goodbye, Peter, she said. Peter hung up the phone. He then stared at it a moment, but decided to leave it on, in case Christine needed to call back. He then returned the phone to his pocket. He turned back to face Sarah again, and pulled the chair a bit closer to the table. He sighed as he reached for his fork. I'm really sorry about this, Sarah. This is why I'm getting stressed out from this job, he said. I know it bothers you, but I understand. It goes with the job. Thanks for holding off and saving our dinner together at least, she said as she smiled at him. I really appreciate how understanding you are. That does make it easier on me. I'm glad I at least will be able to be here for dinner. Thanks for bringing up that idea, he said as he started cutting up his chicken. Let's just relax and eat your dinner now, honey, she suggested. That sounds good to me. Now I can enjoy this great meal, he said as he took a bite of the chicken. The two of them take their time to finish dinner. Afterwards, Peter left to meet Christine to show her the condominium. He then returned to home. When he opened the apartment door, he saw that Sarah was watching some television. When she heard him enter, she turned the television off using the remote, and comes over to greet Peter. So how did it go? She asked. Well, she was interested enough to give me a deposit for the place, so I suppose it was basically worth it. I did call the couple selling the place on my way home, and they of course are quite pleased, he replied. Well, that's great. I guess that's what you need to do in order to be successful, she commented as she embraced and gave him a kiss. I know, but it still bothers me that I have to drop what I'm doing all the time to try to make a sale, he said, still embracing Sarah. I know that you have some problems with the pace of this job. Have you heard anything about a position in a smaller town? She asked. No, I haven't had a response yet. Thanks for reminding me. I'll ask Tom about it on Monday, he replied. I mean, I really do not mind this area, but I see that it's getting to you and I want you to be happy, she said. Thanks, Sarah, you helped me more than you know, he commented. Would you like a quick drink before we head off to bed, she asked. That sounds good, Sarah. Let me find something. Do you have any preference? He asked. Oh, how about making a vodka and tonic for me, she replied. Okay, honey, coming up. I'll be back in a minute, he said. Peter walked to the kitchen, prepared the vodka and tonic for Sarah, and another mixed drink for himself. He brought the 2 glasses to the living room where Sarah was patiently waiting on the couch. He handed the glass to Sarah, who smiled at him as she reached for the glass and said, "Thank you." Peter moved to a spot next to her on the couch and sighed as he sat down. They smiled again at each other. "Finally, I can relax now," he said as he tipped the glass to take a sip. He then leaned his head against the back of the couch. "Is your phone off now?" she asked. "Oh yeah, I shut that sucker off before I got home." "I'm done for tonight at least," he replied. He then took another sip. Sarah sipped her drink. He asked, "Does your drink taste okay?" "Oh yes, it's fine." "Thanks again for making it," she replied. Each of them took a sip from their glasses. He did a prolonged exhale to try to calm down again. "Man, I hope that Tom has some good news for me soon. This is getting a bit much," he said. "I just hope that being a realtor in a small town will be enough to make you happier," she commented. "Well, as long as it is less demanding, it has to help. Even if it means less money, I can deal with it," he said. "Yeah, I suppose that would be okay," Sarah commented. "Well, it usually costs less to live in a small town, which will help too," he added. "Oh, that's right. It should be okay," she agreed. They continued to share their time together with the drinks. When they finished, they went to bed. Monday at the office, Peter took a break from his desk and walked up to his boss' office. He knocked on the open door to get Tom's attention. "Hey Tom, do you have a minute?" Peter asked. "Sure Peter, what's on your mind?" Tom replied. Peter walked into the office and closed the door behind him. He then turned toward Tom and asked, "Well, I just wanted to ask if you have had any inquiries on my request to find a new position in a small town." "Peter, I have not heard anything so far from the corporate offices. I'll send another note today to see if there is any update," Tom replied. Peter sighed and said, "Well, thanks for the update, Tom. I know you really want this change, Peter. I definitely will do what I can to help," Tom added. "Thanks again for your help, Tom," Peter said as he reopened for the door and returned to his desk. When Peter got back to his desk, he saw that he had already received a new phone message in the few minutes he was away from his desk. He rolled his eyes and shook his head as he sat in front of his desk. He picked up the phone and dialed the number to hear the message. Peter arrived home from work later that Monday. He was disappointed from the news on the transfer request. He entered the apartment and let Sarah know he was home. "Hey Sarah, how was your day?" he asked. "Oh, hi Peter, it was the usual day at work." "How about your day?" she asked. "Well, I did ask Tom about the transfer options, and he said that he has not heard anything yet," Peter said as they met near the doorway. "Sorry to hear that. I know that you really want the change," Sarah responded as she tried to comfort him as they embraced. They held each other for a moment. Sarah asked, "Would you like to go out for dinner tonight?" "Yes, that may help take my mind off things." "Do you have an idea where to eat?" he replied. "Oh, something simple would be fine with me." "How about the Farmington Grill?" she asked. He sighed and replied, "That sounds good to me. Do you need to get anything before we go?" "Let me just put my shoes on and I should be ready." "I'll be right back," she replied. "Sure, I'll wait right here," he said as she left the room to retrieve her shoes. She returned after a minute or so and said, "Okay, I'm ready, let's go." He opened the door and let her pass through the doorway first. After she was through the doorway, he followed her and closed the door behind him. For back at work at Tuesday, he was on the phone talking with Christine Hall about the condominium she looked at the previous Friday. She was following up on the details to purchase the unit. "Yes, I have the financing arranged. I did that yesterday with my bank. I believe there are local branches in Farmington too," she continued. "Well, that sounds good, Christine. We should be able to get through the closing details next Tuesday when you are back in town," he agreed. He noticed Tom coming out of his office and walking toward his desk. "Thank you so much, Peter. I'll see you next Tuesday. You have my number if you need to reach me in the meantime," she said. "Yes, I do have the number. See you Tuesday." "Okay, goodbye Christine," he replied. "Goodbye Peter," she said. As he set the phone receiver down, he saw Tom standing in front of his desk. Peter stated, "I just worked on the details to close on that Pine Tree condominium." Tom smiled at him and said, "Sounds great, Peter. I have something that may even make this day even better for you." Peter was a bit surprised, and turned his head slightly to the left as he asked, "What's up, Tom?" "Well, the corporate office just notified me that they have an opening in Wharton, Michigan. I told them you might be interested, and they'll hold it until you decide." Peter's jaw opened, and he stared for a moment. "You said this is in Wharton, Michigan?" Peter asked. "That's where it is, though I didn't know where it was until I looked it up," Tom replied. "Well, I haven't heard of it either. What did you find out about it?" "Oh, you can sit down there too," Peter offered as he gestured with his hand. As Tom was taking one of the two seats in front of Peter's desk, he started, "Well, Wharton is between Jackson and Lansing, Michigan. It sounds like a nice small town with about 2,000 people or so. The WHN office is downtown on Main Street. There are many old Victorian-style houses along with some newer construction." "Wow, that sounds really nice. How should I follow up on this?" Peter asked. "Well, here is some information on the office, including phone numbers. Why don't you give them a call soon and arrange a time to visit? After that you can decide whether you want to transfer or not," Tom replied as he handed Peter a folded sheet of paper that he had been holding in his hand. Peter took the paper and opened it. It was a printed email that Tom received from the Wharton office. It included a small map to the office, and some names, phone numbers, and email addresses. "Well, at least they have email in this town," Peter commented. Tom let out a short laugh, and said, "Yes they do. Oh, Carl Bishop will be the person you will need to contact to arrange when to visit and that kind of thing." "Okay, I see his name listed on here with his phone and email," Peter replied. "Just give him a call and then let me know when you will be gone to visit, and of course let me know about your decision on the transfer as well," Tom said. "Okay, I will do that. Thanks so much for your help in finding this, Tom," Peter commented. "No problem, Peter. Good luck with it," Tom said as he stood up to return to his office. Peter looked at the phone number on the paper, and picked up his phone to dial the number. He paused a moment, and thought to call Sarah first. He dialed her cell phone number. He could hear the line ringing on the other end. Sarah answered the phone, and said, "Hey honey, what's up?" "Hey Sarah, I just talked to Tom," he said, but is interrupted. "You mean your boss?" she asked. "Yes, my boss. Anyway, he said that they have an opening in a small town called Wharton, Michigan," he tells her. "Really? What was the town again?" she asked. "It's Wharton, Michigan," he replied. "I've never heard of it." "Where the hell is it?" she asked. Tom said that it's between Jackson and Lansing. "You sound a bit surprised with this. Are you okay?" he asked. Yes, I'm okay with it, but I'm just trying to figure out where we may be moving, she said. Well, I haven't called about an interview yet, but I plan to do that right after I talk with you now. Maybe you could come with me when I visit and check the town out while I talk with my new boss. Well, potential new boss, he offers. Hey, maybe that would be a good idea. Could you try to make it this Friday? I should be able to find someone to fill in for me then, so that I'd be able to go too, she replied. Okay, I will see if I can arrange to visit there on Friday. Thanks, honey. I'll see you tonight, he said. See you tonight. Goodbye, she said. Goodbye, honey, he said as he hung up the phone. He looked at the email from Tom again to note the phone number for Carl in Wharton. Again, he picked up the phone. He dialed Carl's number, and waited as it rang a few times. Hello, WHN Realty, this is Carl. How may I help you? Carl asked. Hi Carl, this is Peter Corbin. My supervisor, Tom Rustoff, said that you are interested in having me transfer from the Farmington WHN office to the one in Wharton, Peter said. Oh, hello Peter, thanks for contacting me so quickly. One of my agents recently moved out of town, and I requested help from the corporate office to get a replacement, Carl replied. Anyway Carl, I am interested in the position, and I would like to visit sometime soon to see if this is what I'm looking for, Peter said. Well, one thing about this office is that things move at a slower pace around here, and you likely will not have the commissions you are used to, Carl commented. Oh, I have considered that and it's fine with me. I requested to be transferred to a small town. I grew up in one, and the pace in the bigger cities is a bit much for me, Peter replied. Grew up in a small town, huh? Then you may actually be okay here. Tell you what, let's work out a time for you to visit, and then we can take things from there, Carl said. I was actually thinking of visiting this Friday, if that would work for you, Peter suggested. Let's see here a moment, Carl said as he paused, likely to check his calendar. Yeah, Friday will work for me. How about if you show up around 11 and I can take you out for lunch first? We can discuss more details back at the office afterwards, Carl offered. Wow, that sounds great, Carl. I will be there at 11. Oh, would it be okay if I brought my wife along on Friday? I can chip in for her lunch, Peter asked. Sure, please bring her along, if she is available. Don't worry about paying for her lunch though, Carl replied. Okay Carl, I'll see if my wife can come along on Friday, so that she can see the town too, Peter replied. For now, I just assume it will be the two of you. If not, just let me know before Friday. Why don't the two of you plan on meeting me at the office at 11, then we can go to lunch. Maybe she can walk around the town after lunch while we go over the job information, Carl suggested. Hey, that would be great, Carl. I'll see you on Friday at 11. Oh, by the way, my wife's name is Sarah, Peter replied. Sarah. Thanks for letting me know. Do you know how to get here? Carl asked. Yes, the map on the email that you sent to Tom looks good enough for me to find the office, Peter replied. Well, then I'll see you this Friday, Peter. Take care until then, Carl said. Okay, goodbye Carl, Peter said as he hung up the phone. Peter wrote the time on the Friday block on his desk pad calendar. He tapped his pen a few times and put it back on the desk as he got up from his chair. He made his way to Tom's office across the room. He approached the open door to Tom's office and saw that Tom was sorting through some documents on his desk. He knocked on the open door and said, Hey Tom. After Tom looked up at Peter, he continued, I called Carl at the Wharton office and arranged to visit there on Friday. Is that okay with you? Sure Peter, just make sure your showings are scheduled on other days or just find someone else to cover for you, Tom reminded him. Yeah, so far I don't have any appointments that I would need to switch, so I should be okay. Thanks, Tom, he said. Just let me know what you think of the place, and whether you want to make the switch, Tom said. I sure will. Thanks again, Peter said as he tapped the door with his fingers, and then turned to return to his desk. He walked back to his desk and thought for a moment about what to do next. He remembered Sarah. He picked up the phone and dialed her cell phone number again. He listened as it rang. "What's up?" she asked. "It's me. Just giving you a quick call, since I scheduled the Wharton visit for this Friday. So I wanted to let you know, so you can ask for the day off," he said. "Oh, so you did work it out for this Friday?" "I'll let Tara know, so I can go with you," she replied. "Okay, thanks, Sarah. I'll see you tonight," he said. "See you, tonight." "Goodbye," she replied. "Goodbye," he said as he hung up the phone. He then checked his calendar and saw that he had a showing coming up within a half an hour at a house a few miles away. He checked one of his file drawers, found the file on the house, and pulled it out of the cabinet. He then checked his pocket for his keys. With the file in hand, he headed to his car in the lot behind the office to drive to the house. Later that evening, he arrived home and opened the door to their apartment. "Sarah, are you home?" he asked. "Yes, I'm here at the dining table," she replied. "Oh, there you are," he said as he turned toward the dining table. "What are you looking at?" he asked after noticed she was looking at something at the table. "Well, I found a map and a Michigan tour book. I'm looking at them to find out where Wharton is and more about the town," she replied. "Really? What have you found out about it so far?" he said as he approached her at the dining table. There was an open map and a tour book in front of her. She pointed to an area on the map north of Jackson, and said, "This is where the town is, just like you said it would be. We should be able to take 96 over to this exit, go south a ways, and it's to the east on this road here. It looks like it will eventually get us to Wharton." "Okay, that sounds easy enough. What did you find out about the town itself?" he asked as he took a seat at the table next to Sarah. She picked up the tour book, opened it to a page marked with a card, and said, "Let's see. There are about 2,000 people in the town, so it isn't too tiny at least. It was settled in 1842. The Chilton River passes through the center of town, too. A river going through the town, huh? That should be nice," he commented. Many of the older houses were built in the Victorian style. There are several newer houses in the town as well, she continued. "Well, it will definitely be worth checking it out," he replied. "Yeah, we'll have to see what it is like," she commented, but with less enthusiasm than he was expecting. "Are you still okay with this, Sarah?" he asked. "Yes, I'll be fine. I know you need the change and I want you to be happy with your job," she replied. "Well, I want you to be happy too," he said. "Like I said, I will be fine. Did you get a local map to know where to go for the realty office?" she said, trying to change the subject. "Ah, yes I did. I have the map that Carl Bishop emailed me. He'll be my new boss. It has a map and other contact information," he replied. "Oh, that's good. I'll see if I can think of anything I'll need to take with me Friday," she said. "Yeah, I have to think of things that I'll need to take as well," he said. "What did you want to do for dinner tonight?" he asked. "Oh, I thawed out some burgers. So do you think you could get the grill going on the balcony?" she asked. "Hey, that sounds good. I'll get the fire started," he replied as he got up from the table. "I'll get the buns and other stuff ready," she offered as she stood up from the table too. "Thanks, Sarah," he said as he unlocked the sliding glass door to the balcony. He removed the cover off of the grill. He then opened a plastic box and removed a bag of charcoal.